I need to get a different. Okay, we should be live here on the broadcast for you guys out in YouTube land.
YouTube.
So how are you doing?
Land.
I'm going to minimize this so we can see the comments.
All right.
I need to get a different. Okay, we should be live here on the broadcast, guys, out in YouTube land. All right, I was just double checking. Looks like we are live. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We got about 17 of you watching right now. Let's see. Get things rearranged. I'm gonna have to do like this. All right, here we go. All right, we're gonna set up the recording for the podcast. Thanks, guys, for tuning into the YouTube show. We really appreciate y'all watching.
Like our new backdrop?
Oh yeah, the new backdrop. Looks pretty cool. All right, here we go. All right, everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man. I am Bobby, Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, and I have with me Eric, the Magical McCabe.
Magical.
Magical.
New nickname every week.
How are you doing, Eric?
Doing good.
Cool,
Doing real good.
cool.
Except
Well,
this cold weather.
Oh my gosh,
that I
it's
drove
cold
back
this
to.
morning, and it was snowing yesterday in Emporia.
It was the most ridiculous drive ever from Texas. I
can
hit the
imagine.
Kansas state line and it was 55 degrees, and then it just suddenly dropped to 30, and then snowflakes. I mean, they were huge. They were like the size of quarters coming down, and then we got here. Then I went to the shop and hung out there in the back for a little bit, and then when we left, it was like a spring day. It was weird.
I know, it was so weird, but it's practically all melted and gone. So
Yeah.
except for a few little patches on the grass and stuff, but
it was covered. I mean, I drove past Jones Park, and you could see nothing but white, and I was like, oh, great. And then I drove past this morning, and it was grass.
it was grass.
Weird.
Nice.
Weird.
All right. Well, you're talking about you're driving back from Texas. You're driving back from Texas State.
Texas State Championship.
So tell us how that went.
It went pretty well. Bizarre weather as well. The first day was very windy, and the second day was beautiful, calm, and then the last day was cold and windy. But I was fortunate enough the first day to be on the showcase card, I guess you could say, with Ricky Wysocki, myself, Greg Barsby, and who was my fourth?
I don't remember.
I'm horrible at remembering who the... Oh, Jared Rohn.
Yeah,
Of course,
Jared Rohn, that's right.
And so DG guy, Terry Miller, filmed our whole round,
Yes.
put it up on YouTube, and I played good enough to get on the lead card for the second round, and
Nice.
so he filmed that round as well. And then I just kind of slipped. I didn't really slip that round, but Simon Lazot, whatever, the German kid.
Whatever you say.
He shot an amazing round and
Oh,
jumped up
yeah.
onto the lead card, and I was on the second card for the final round. Finished ninth, which, top 10 finish at an NT is never a bad thing, and qualified for USDGC for my 12th USDGC.
Nice.
And so I don't have to worry about that the rest of the year, which is nice.
Yeah, and Ricky, man, he shot
Oh, man.
amazing.
It was honestly just that first round, and it's out on YouTube, and you guys can go watch it. But it was an amazing round that he played. Just banging putts and throwing perfect drives, and it was fun to watch, and it was a very, very quiet 55. Like, when we were done adding up the scores, he's like, I shot 55. I was like, whoa, what? I didn't even... He beat me by 10, and I felt good about my round, so that tells you how well he played.
Wow. Yeah. I was watching some of the scores and on the PDJ live scoring, the Twitter the page they have, and I was just, my gosh, Ricky's doing awesome.
Yeah, it was.
So yeah, I
crazy.
posted the round one that the disc golf guy put out there. I posted on our Facebook feed, so you have to look back a few posts. And you'll be able to find that. But if you can go to the Disc Golf Guys YouTube channel, you'll be able to watch the round 1, 2, and...
I think he'll have round 3. I'm not sure if it's up just yet,
okay.
but it'll definitely be up.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, awesome. Well, good show out there, Eric.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Now we got next, let me check my little notes here. We want to talk about the Trilogy Challenge.
Yes, Trilogy Challenge.
Those are coming in, and people are registering to host those events.
I think we have 150,
I think we're
close to
hitting
150 across the country,
events.
and other countries as well
I think
are participating.
5 countries, maybe
Yeah.
more. I haven't looked in a while, but just in case you are just hopping on to the podcast, a Trilogy Challenge is where you can host an event, or obviously you can play in the event where you play with 3 discs,
Brand new discs.
brand new disc, unreleased. One from Dynamic Discs, one from Latitude 64, and then of course one from Westside to make up the Trilogy brands.
Yes.
And you go out there, and they may be different formats because the tournament director can pick their formats, but you can go to trilogychallenge.com and get more information on how to play and even how to host. And I actually wanted to share a story of somebody that's hosting it out in New Mexico.
New Mexico.
He's from the New Mexico, let's see, his website is nmdg.org, and let's see. He is doing it to try to raise funds for their big event, the New Mexican Open.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. He says the Chasing the Chains RV has come through Albuquerque in the past couple of years, and we are starting to see Dynamic Discs, Latitude 64, and Westside Discs in more player bags every day. As the Trilogy line of plastic becomes more popular, they're in higher demand. But there's only one place to buy Trilogy plastic in our entire state.
Wow.
So he wants to run a Trilogy Challenge to let people know. So he's earning extra funds for an upcoming B tier called the New Mexican Open, and it's at the Camp of the Tall Pines. You can, like I said, you can go to nmopen.org to find out more on that. Event's running August 9th through 10th, 2014 for that the New Mexican Open, or the New Mexico Open. So anyway, I just think it's cool that people are using it to host events to raise money for other events or for charities and stuff like that.
Definitely, and it's a really good deal, and it's very inexpensive for the player.
Yes.
And they get three brand new discs. That the only time you can get these discs this whole year is at a Trilogy Challenge.
Yeah.
And I know I've had a chance to throw, and I think we've released the Thief.
Yes.
That's the DD disc, the driver, and I did finally get a chance to throw it a little bit, and it's going to be a great disc.
Oh yeah.
People are going to love that thing.
So the next thing we want to talk about, going back to Texas.
Back.
As my microphone falls off the table.
Going back to
Texas.
That doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work at all. Okay, so we're going back to Texas for the Amateur Championships, which is a Dynamic Disc event and sponsored also in part by Latitude 64.
Latitude 64.
So we're going back there, and we need you guys to get signed up because we want people there. And tell people why, even though it's an amateur event, I mean, why is it important to even play in that type of event?
I'll be there.
Could you?
No, I'm just kidding. Well, of course, it's a big event. It's a DD event, so we always treat the amateurs very well with player packs.
Yeah.
And it's just a quality courses that we're playing on down there at Cedar Hill and Mount Lebanon, right? We're playing Mount Lebanon.
Mount Lebanon, Beaver, and Coyote.
Yep, those 3 courses are going to be. It's just going to be an overall great time. And I know in the past we've had a lot of players sign up, last minute type of a thing, and I'm hoping people don't do that for this event. We've got a lot of spots available right now, so I encourage you, if you're thinking about going, if you're planning on going, get signed up right now, soon as possible, and don't miss out on this event because it's going to be one heck of a time.
Yeah, and I guess my thinking is, we get people on here that ask us all the time, how do I improve my game? How do I get better? And when Felberg was on there, Felberg was on here, and even you have answered questions, one of the things is get out there and play competitively.
Yes.
It is a whole nother environment to play competitively than it is to go to your leagues or your minis and stuff like that. So if you want to step up your game and you're in the Texas area, you need to check out the Amateur Championships.
Not to mention that player pack is going to be pretty cool.
Yes, the player packs will be off the Hazuki. That's stupid.
Hazuki.
Oh, someone's texting while we're doing the show. Nice. Okay, so next we have...
It's Paige Bajorkis.
It's Paige. Hey, Paige.
Hey. Okay.
All right, so we also want to mention, last week we mentioned a few discs on the show that were coming out April 1st, and actually, on the technical side, Clay is actually going to release them online on the Dynamic Disc store, dynamicdisc.net, at 11 p.m. Central, March 28th.
Yes.
And let's go over some of those discs again.
Let's start with the Havoc.
Yes.
It's the Deco Die Havoc. I don't know if you guys can both see those. Pretty cool, 2 different designs on this one. which is the first time I think in the past all the deco dies that they've done have just been one. I really like that one right there with the basket and the bomb going off in the back, and it's cool. Pretty neat. Pretty good stuff. I had a chance to throw this, just like all the other deco die discs. They're a little more domey, a little pop-toppy, and a bit more stable than the normal like Goldmine run of discs. So definitely check out one of those. They're a lot of fun. And this is actually, the Havoc has been my longest flying disc that I've ever thrown.
Oh, really?
Ever.
Wow.
Ever.
So,
yeah, definitely check out the Havoc. Another great one I'm excited about is the Lucid Judge. I know a lot of people have been asking for this. We just released the Fusion Judge not too long ago, and the Lucid, from my perspective on it, I had one in the bag this week and threw it around a lot, and it seems to be a little bit more stable than the Fusion brother, I guess you can say. And it's just an overall great flying disc. It'll hold up in the wind nicely and pretty fast for a putter.
And I know Denise was out throwing it too, and I think she really likes it.
Yep, I think she does too.
She wants to get it beat in a little bit, but she likes it.
Yeah. Another one, the Lucid Air Escape. This thing is very domey, pop-toppy almost, and I threw it a little bit, not a whole lot. I'm very excited for this disc for Japan.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just another one of those air discs, and if you guys haven't thrown any air discs yet, I do recommend at least grabbing one or two of them and trying them out, because you think, oh, it's that light plastic, it's 150 something, it's way too light for me. Case, you don't always have to throw 100%. You know what I mean, with your arm speeds. Yeah. It's if I've noticed if you throw this Escape at like 60%, it just pops up and rides, and it flies very good. I recommend checking out the Lucid Air Escape when it comes out.
And the Air is where they actually have bubbles in their
in the
rim to kind of help them or help it be really light.
Keep it of weight, and it's more stable than you think it is, and it's got lots of glide. The last and disc is the Stock Stamp Fusion.
Ooh, you picked a pretty one.
I did. I picked a Jelly Bean stamp. Truth. This disc is... I've gone through most of them, and most of them have been super flat.
Yeah.
You know, the Lucids have a little bit more of a dome to them, which makes the Lucid just a little bit more stable. So from what I've noticed is on the Fusion stock stamps, they tend to be a little straighter than the Lucid ones from at least the one that I threw. I didn't really get a whole lot of time to throw before I left for Texas last week, but yeah, it seems to be a little bit straighter, and yeah. So those are the new discs that are coming out on April 1st or
March 28th, 11 p.m. Central.
Unless you live on the East Coast, and then it technically is April 1st. But
that's why I say Central.
Oh, yeah, Central.
So anyway, or
8 o'clock in California.
Will it be 8 o'clock?
No, 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Sorry. 2 hours. 9 o'clock.
Anyway, March 28th, an hour before April, wherever you are. I guess. Wherever you are, I guess. Anyway, so those are good. Check on dynamicdisc.net when those will be available. And I know that those nights are always crazy because people get on there and buy stuff, so it's really cool. So make sure you get on there and get the stuff.
Cool. Very cool.
All right, what else do we got on our agenda? Oh, I wanted to mention last week, we love answering questions from the website, obviously, but we all love answering the questions from people that are watching the show. So if you're watching the show, leave a comment, and after we get to the ones that are on the website, we'll go through some of the ones that people leave comments on this particular live broadcast. So go ahead and do that. But
can't always get to all of them.
Yeah, once we're done with the broadcast, we can't always get to all of them. So if you left a comment on the last show and we didn't get to answer it, go to discgolfanswerman.com, click on that submit a disc golf question, and send your question there, and that way it'll be on the next show.
Yes.
Cool?
Yes.
So, and then I guess I'll give a little...
I was just thinking that.
What? About me?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Aw,
about what you got.
What do I got? Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah.
I should have brought it.
I know.
I got
We could have flown it in our little room here.
Yeah, right. I got a DJI Phantom Vision 2 quadcopter. Let me see if I can pull one up on my iPad to show people.
it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna take it down to Texas this weekend and give her the trial run.
Yes.
And the weather seems like it's gonna be pretty decent down there, so it should be fun getting some shots,
Here should be a good picture.
some aerial footage.
So, oh wait, let me biggin it up. So this is the quadcopter.
Cool.
DJI Phantom 2 Vision quadcopter. It's got a 1080p camera on the bottom. Now, some of the things that I'm excited about that it can do, that I know of, is that I'll be able to use my iPhone and I can take pictures from my iPhone of what it's seeing and I can send them out to Facebook.
Nice.
Now, I can't do any kind of like live broadcasting. At least I don't think so.
You'd have to have a cord or something to
I
it,
don't.
right?
Well, I don't know if it'll use the iPhone to send a signal. I'll have to do more research and
Well,
test it.
and it is pretty loud. So the only time that we could really use it is like during Ring of Fires or
practices,
practice rounds.
Yeah, so I don't know that it'll be something that I can use during a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at some quadcopters, and those things can go for $5,000 up to $50,000. Well, of course, they're optocopters where they have eight
eight
pillars
plates.
on, yeah. So anyway, so we're gonna have some fun with that. But one of the cool things that I know that everybody's excited about it, and something that we've been planning to do for a while, is the hole by hole type recording for the Glassbone Open. In other words, I'll go out there and I'll fly the courses. I'll go from hole 1 from the tee pad to the basket, and then Eric will later on go in and do a voiceover, and so you can watch. I don't know if we'll get to every hole. No, that's the goal.
My plan is, at first, at least, do all the signature holes
Right.
and the more difficult holes that people are going to need to see before they come in and play the
Right.
Glassbone Open.
So, and then once we get those done, then we'll get to some of the other holes. So I don't know if we'll get them all, but we'll get a majority of them. But that way, you can see the holes before you come out and play.
Exactly. And until then, if they want, they can go to our YouTube page and watch some of the past Glassbone Open videos, and because they're pretty much the same courses that we play every year.
Yeah.
So you can go out there and check those out. I know Bobby's done the broadcasting for that the past few years.
Yeah, and in fact, a couple of the Throwback Thursdays on the Facebook page. In fact, this Thursday, I'll throw up, I think, 2011 Glassbone Open covers, I think it was.
Cool.
So anyway, one of the older ones. So be sure to, if you're not a fan of Dynamic Disc on Facebook page, make sure you go out there and do that. Like it. All right, I think that's all we got for the announcements.
Just get signed up for that event this weekend.
Amateur Championships.
Do it.
Let me go to the questions here. Give me a second, guys.
We have a lot of questions this
All
week.
right, thank you so much, guys, for sending all the questions. We have a lot, so sit back and grab your cup of Joe.
Cup of Joe, Java.
Who said they were going to
Taro.
Taro, yeah. Grab your cup of Java Taro and sit back and let's get to the questions. All right, the first one is from Ray, and Ray says, thanks for the show, guys. In past episodes, you have mentioned two main types of putting styles, push and spin. When I am taking in your advice to other when I am talking about your advice to other players, it makes me wonder which style of putter I am. How do I know? Thanks for doing this, and I'll be seeing you at the GBO. Yes, we will see you.
We will see you, Ray. Well, basically the way you know is it's kind of in the name, spin and push, or push is also kind of known as loft, where you kind of more of a toss it up into the basket, where spin is you're actually putting spin on the disc, and it's more of a straight line at the basket as opposed to more of a kind of like a free throw shot.
Yeah.
So.
Why is my microphone? Is the grip different?
Grip could be a little bit different. I know with push putts or loft putts, a lot of people use more of a fan grip.
Yeah, like this.
Fan.
Opposite
of that.
Like this?
Like that.
Okay.
YouTubers like that. And I know people that even have their whole hand on the whole plate like that on the flight plate, and then they push off like the middle finger, the last thing it touches.
Oh, so yeah.
But spin putting is more of a power, kind of more of a power grip.
Okay.
Which is what I use.
Cool. Yeah, that was stupid microphone. Yeah, I know that someone, I can't remember who was saying it, but saying that it's a push putt is actually kind of a misnomer, because you're actually kind of like you're actually doing this motion, right? You're not really pushing the disc.
Yeah.
You're more doing
More of a loft.
Yeah, you're kind of lofting it up. So,
but push and spin just kind of. I guess it just sounds good.
Yeah. All right, the next one is from Sean. Sean says, okay, this is going to make me mad with my microphone. Sean says, I'm having an issue creating a consistent release point. 20 to 40% of the time, my throws feel right and are exactly what I wanted. However, much of the time, I can't pick up on the problem of why I release early, late. Thanks.
Why I release early, late. Okay. Well, I mean, if it feels right, that doesn't necessarily mean it is right. It just means it's something that you're used to. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Because I mean, just because it feels right to you doesn't necessarily mean it's right. I'm not saying you're doing it wrong, but typically, if you're releasing early, it's just coming out of the hand. So maybe a firmer grip, and trying to release with more of an Anheuser. Because if you release more with an Anheuser, when you think about it, if the disc is actually coming out more Anheuser, you have less tendencies to let it go early.
Oh, okay.
So I would get out in the field and just try that around, throw that thing around a little bit.
Awesome. Oh, the next one is from Rob. Rob says, I'd like to hear more about Eric's grip that he uses. When and why, drives, power grip, Climo grip, or ? Mid, fan, or power grip, putt, fan, finger on lip. What works best for you and why? I struggle with grip selection that is a tweener shot between my drivers and mids, and putters. What grip do you use for driving with putters?
Ooh.
Wow.
Driving with putters. Well, as it's known for me, I typically will use the exact same grip for everything.
Oh.
And the reason is comfortability. It's easy. You know, it's basically, there's no right or wrong way to grip a disc. It's just basically whatever's comfortable for you. If it doesn't feel right to you, then it's probably not right for you. And I know a lot of people that do the power grips where all of their fingertips are on the actual rim of the disc, and it just feels too awkward, and I don't feel like I have control over the disc. Sure, you'll probably get more distance, but I just feel like I need more control on the disc. Therefore, I have my actual fingertips on the flight plate. And my index finger is kind of curled around right where it bends, right around the rim where the bead would be, and so it rolls off that at the last minute. And it just, for me, I just like to have it consistent, always the same. And for putters, it may be a hair more fan, just for control and consistent release.
Is that how you started out with that grip? Did you have to kind of evolve to that?
I've pretty much always had the same grip. I think probably when I first started playing, it was probably a little different.
Yeah.
But for the most part, yeah, I've had the same consistent grip.
Cool. All right, the next one is from Nicholas, and Nicholas says, how are the dynamic discs selling in Europe? How do Scandinavian prices compare to U.S. prices?
That's a good question. That'd be possibly a question for one of our European guys.
Yeah.
I honestly, I assume that we're selling well in Europe.
We're selling well just about everywhere else.
Yeah. And prices, I would imagine that it should be right around the same price level. I don't know,
like the exchange or anything like that.
That's a good question that I'm not sure I could answer myself.
I'll try to see if I can. Maybe if Clay's out there listening. Clay, send me a text and tell me if you know the answer to how the discs are selling in Europe and the Scandinavian price comparison to U.S. prices.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Nicholas.
Yeah. All right. The next one is from Carrie. Carrie says, Eric, I noticed you don't really flick.
Nope.
Why is that? And if you say that you've just never been good at it, why not practice it?
Yeah.
Is it not a very significant part of one's game? Also, last episode you guys were talking about growing the sport. How do you feel about the image that many disc golfers give by smoking weed and drinking often? Do you feel like it hinders the sport? And thoughts? ? And then he says, sorry for the loaded question. That is a loaded question.
That is a bit of a loaded question. Well, for me, on the first one, the sidearm or flick, that's a great point. That if I say I'm not good at it, just go practice it, which is true. That's very, very true.
That is true.
The reason I do throw a flick from time to time, it's typically only if I have to. it's comfortability, really. I just feel more confident throwing a turnover as opposed to throwing a sidearm. But I have been doing a lot more sidearms lately, and typically when I'm doing a sidearm, it's usually because it's the only shot or I'm trying to get out of jail, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I just prefer throwing an Anheuser shot with a mid-range or a driver, usually.
And I mean, you do practice it. I mean,
Yeah.
I know when we're out playing casual rounds, which is pretty much practice for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing the sidearm shots when you need to.
Yep. And then the other part of his question was,
Oh yeah.
you wanted to go right past that, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't want to talk. No, I'm just playing.
No.
I forgot.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is what it is, so to speak. I know a lot of disc golfers get the bad rep from, being party animals and whatnot. But honestly, the top pros, there's not too many of them that actually do smoke a lot of dope and go out and drinking all the time. I know some of them do. I mean, that's the way it is, and it's any sport when you really think about it. I mean, how many football players have you heard of getting busted, and baseball players, and look at skateboarding, snowboarding. It's all the same. It's just a matter of we just kind of have that. We've always had that image of frisbee throwers, pot smokers, stuff like that, and it is really too bad. But I think this day and age, it's finally getting past that, and we're finally starting to grow the sport as a sport as opposed to a hobby.
And here's my opinion on, my short time being a disc golfer and working media and doing stuff in disc golf is that, like Eric said, there's other sports that I'm sure they do just as many things that aren't exactly positive for the sport as far as growing it, like the smoking weed and drinking and drugs and stuff. I mean, you're going to tell me that none of those snowboarders out there at Extreme Sports, they don't dabble in a little bit of recreational medicine, drugs, and stuff like that? I mean, come on. But the thing is that it seems to be that in this day and age that we have such a close access, a immediate access to people, and it's not like to nowadays, you go to a national tournament and you can go to the players' party and hang out with Paul McBeth,
Yep.
Ricky, and all the pros that are out there. You can hang out and socialize with them, but you couldn't do that with, like, when Troy Aikman was around. You wouldn't
No.
necessarily hang out and party with him. And so I think you just know more about the inside of what happens in disc golf. And unfortunately, there is that part of it, and so people know more about it. Well, there's that part of it, I'm sure, in just about every sport. My thing is, let's quit worrying about all that, and let's move on. Let's move past that and beyond that. Just like Eric said, the sport is growing. It's getting more recognition. It's getting into more households. Let's stop worrying about the bad image and the bad people, the 20% of people that have that bad. Let's worry about those 80%, those pro players that are out there working their butts off grinding the courses and stuff to make the sport better.
Thanks for the question.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Didn't mean to preach at you. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. All right, Kyle has our next question. He says, "Hey guys, I was just wondering, what does it take to get sponsored, and what are the benefits of being sponsored? Pros and cons. Can you speak about your experience? Thanks. You guys are doing a great job. Love hearing about what DD is doing each week."
Oh, thank you. Sponsorship is it depends on what company, honestly. I know some companies look for the best golfers, and other companies look for how you grow the sport. And I know Dynamic Discs has been more of a how you grow the sport and more of a family-based company, with our team and sponsored players that way. But as far as getting sponsored, it is tough. It can be tough to get sponsored, to get noticed with as many golfers that are out there now.
Yeah.
And some pros and cons. Pros would be, being part of a family, representing something, being loyal, and whatnot. And cons, I can honestly say I don't really have any cons about especially being sponsored by a company like Dynamic Discs.
Yeah.
I don't have any cons to it because there's honestly nowhere I would rather be than right here.
Now, I guess this wouldn't be a con, but this would be a just to let you know, what to expect, because I know that at your level you're expected to play certain amount of tournaments,
Mhm.
right? You're
Yeah.
expected to kind of go to some of the bigger tournaments and play, and then if you're kind of at different levels, now I kind of know how it works for DD, and I don't know how it works for other people, but I'm assuming it's similar. But if you're at a certain sponsorship level, you're expected to be at certain amount of B tiers,
Yep.
certain amount of A tiers,
Yep.
and stuff like that. So
And
there is some,
Ts and majors, and,
Yeah.
and really carry yourself well
right,
on the course and be professional,
right.
and which I try to do as much as possible.
You do a good job, Eric.
I don't think.
All right, thanks for the question. We're going to move on to the next one. The next one is from Elijah, and he says, what do you mean when you say PDGA ranking
Nope.
or someone's PDGA rating? Like when you said Paul McBeth rating was 1050, what does that mean? How do I get a rating? And thanks, guys. Keep up the awesome videos.
Okay. Well, a PDGA ranking is kind of based off your PDGA rating. It's kind of complicated at first, but first off, you have to be a PDGA member, Professional Disc Golf Association,
Mm-hmm.
and you can go to pdga.com and sign up for the PDGA. And there's a lot of benefits to signing up for the PDGA. You can play, certain events. You get a magazine every year. It, the PDGA helps grow the sport, so it helps to support them. And what a rating is you play sanctioned events at disc golf tournaments that are sanctioned by the PDGA, and each round there's an SSA on the course, which is, I'm not sure what
SSA stands for?
it's. What it means is
Oh.
the SSA for the course would be like your 1,000 rating,
Oh, okay.
and 1,000 rating it used to be really good when you have 1,000 rating, but you have players out there now that are 1050, like Paul McBeth. But rating is basically based off how you play a course. Most courses out there have a set rating for 1,000, which is the SSA. So let's say your course's SSA is a 52, and you go out and you shoot a 52. Well, you should be around 1,000 rating. And how you establish one and get one is you have to play a certain amount of PDGA events to get them, and it's just a matter of getting out, signing up, and playing.
Yeah.
Really.
And for some people, it's just a way for them to measure how they're improving.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then how they've been playing.
That's exactly right. What ratings are is what you've done.
Yeah, how you've been playing and what you've done. It's just a good way to kind of gauge. Now, there's a lot of controversy over
There's
ratings
a
and
lot.
stuff. I mean, you can open a big can of worms talking about ratings,
Mm-hmm.
but basically that was what the intention of it was for. So, good question, Elijah. All right, the next one is from Matthew, and Matthew says, "Hey guys, I have two questions. First, are there any tips for looking at my form using a camera? I feel that when I film myself throwing a drive and then compare it to some of the top pro forms, I don't really know what I'm looking at. Even when I play a video of my drive and a video of a pro's drive side by side in slow motion, I can't find anything wrong. However, I know that my form isn't that great because I'm inaccurate and can only throw 325 feet. My other question is this: are there any good drills that I can do to improve my backhand shots? For example, in baseball, there are loads of drills for every little thing so that you can go an entire week just doing different drills. However, I can't find one good drill for improving distance or accuracy in disc golf. Do you know of any? Thanks in advance and keep up the good work."
Well, as far as drills out there, what I always recommend is stretching and yoga. Lots and lots of stretching and getting more flexible, because that's really all it's about, is getting more and more distance, is flexibility and being able to put extra spin on the disc and be able to reach back a little bit more. Just really concentrate on doing a lot of stretching, maybe some yoga, and just constantly throwing in a field. And that does help. As far as the other one goes, what I recommend you do is take that video of you throwing with slow motion and post it up on the DGAM Facebook page.
Yeah, to get some feedback.
And I know a few people have done that, and a lot of people have helped, and I will definitely get on there when I have the opportunity and post on it as well. So I would definitely put the post up on our Facebook page.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Matthew. Yeah, for anybody else out there, get out there, film your form, and put it out there. And if Eric can get to it, he'll try to. But I know there's a bunch of other guys that are just willing to help and help you figure out what's going on with your form. One thing I was going to mention with drills that I know is what a lot of people do, and I do sometimes, is when you're done playing a casual round, you'll just go to a nice open hole with a basket and you'll just empty your bag.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's kind of a drill. I mean, it's just like going through every disc you have in your bag, throwing it, see how it throws, see how you're doing, and to me, that's kind of a drill, just to kind of the more knowledge you can give yourself for how those discs throw.
And that's a drill that you can do at certain courses. Others you can't. With depends on how popular your course is.
Oh,
and
that's
how many
true.
people are there. You don't want to be throwing your whole bag and you got a bunch of people waiting to throw on you. But
that's true. So
but
sure
maybe
you
if that, just go to a field if your course is really populated.
All right, the next one is from Taylor, and Taylor says, do you have any tips for getting out of trouble in heavily wooded areas, especially tunnel shots?
Yeah. Typically, what you need to do, it's very difficult, but there's a couple options. One of them is a crazy roller, sidearm roller to get out, which I see a lot of people do in the woods because it's less chance to hit trees. But what I do and what I recommend you do to save strokes is take your medicine. Just take your medicine and pitch back out to the fairway. Because if you think about it, how many times have you been deep in the woods and tried to go for the green and end up hitting a tree and then hitting another tree and then getting out and then missing a putt or making a putt, and then you could have just saved, one stroke. You just got to take your medicine and take those bogeys when you can.
Yeah, I've seen that so many times.
Mm-hmm.
People trying to go for it, and they hit another tree. And then, of course, I mean, it sucks because there's another stroke, but then your whole mental game is just you're more even ticked off and everything. So, yeah, just throw it out there in the open and move on. All right, I think the next one is from... Oh, no, it's repeated the question. Sorry, guys. Hold on. All right, the next one is from Mitchell, and Mitchell says, I plan to play in the Glassbone Open this year, and since I don't live far from Emporia, I'm looking to play the courses a few times before the event.
Awesome. Good idea.
Oh, what clubs or leagues are there in Emporia, and when do they meet, or where can I find more about them? If there are no leagues or clubs, why not?
That's a good one.
LOL.
LOL. Well, there's not much organization going as far as clubs. There is one club here, and they do bag tags and they play doubles, and I'm not sure if they do singles or not, but I know they usually meet up at Peter Pan on Thursday.
I think it was Thursday.
It was last Thursday that they played doubles out there. There's really not a whole... I don't know where you can go look for it, but I know when spring comes and it's starting to get warmer and the time's already changed and it's starting to stay light longer, we'll be posting some of those on the DD Facebook page.
Oh, cool.
And but yeah, as far as coming down, it's just Emporia's kind of a small town, and we used to have a pretty good sized club when I first started with players and leagues. We would do leagues 2 or 3 times a week, but there's just not as many players around Emporia, honestly. Yeah. I mean, there's getting to be more and more casual players, and it's the Skywalkers Club league. And those guys are really great, and they're starting to get more and more players playing. So right now I know of Thursdays at 5:30 at Peter Pan.
5:30 at Peter Pan. Sweet. All right, next one is from Simon, and Simon says, hey guys, disc golfer from Sweden here. Well, hey, Simon, all the way to Sweden. Thanks for a great show. My bag is all Trilogy nowadays, and I'm trying to disc down in order to practice on my technique and accuracy. What is your view on how many different types of molds an intermediate amateur player should carry? I have a Ranger bag and currently carry 20 to 24 discs. Besides putters and 3 out of 4 drivers I carry right now, there are all different molds.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, it's really varies, I would say. For me, myself, I carry probably 6 different driver molds, if that, maybe 5. Not very many, but I carry multiples of the same drivers that I like. 20. I carry 20 to 24 discs in total.
Okay.
I know a lot of people on the Ranger bags use the top compartment for putters or extra discs. I usually just use it for towels and golden retrievers and stuff like that. But I would suggest going out and right now, at least for casual rounds and practice rounds, you should have that bag jam-packed full of discs. Trying new things, new discs, seeing what you like, and using that time to figure out what discs you like and working those into your bag during tournaments and seeing which ones you really like so you can get multiples of and move from there. I just stress keep it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. It's the easiest way.
All right, thanks, Simon. And the next one is from Matt. Matt says, when can we expect some updated in the bag videos from the DD crew?
Hey.
Well, whenever it stops freezing and snowing.
I know it. We did one.
Yeah, we did one.
But they decided to water the desert. Well,
we tried to do one at the memorial, and it was a beautiful day, but this truck came in with watering,
Yep.
and it just was loud, and it wasn't.
Bobby and I are planning on filming one this week. Maybe this weekend coming up, because I know he's leaving today.
Yes.
So I think we're going to try to shoot one somewhere down in Texas.
Somewhere.
Anyway,
yeah, we're going to try to do one in Texas. Now, as far as some of the other players, it really is kind of hit and miss because I can only do them when they're at tournaments or I'm at a tournament, and then even then around that time they are concentrating on the tournament. So, but we're going to work hard.
GBO, I think, will be a good time for us to knock out a bunch of in the bag.
In fact, I'm going to schedule them so that I'm all set up, ready to go, and they just walk in and we do them, and then they leave, and then we walk in and we do them. So definitely around after Glass Blown Overtime, we'll have some more. So thanks for that, Matt. The next one is from Nicholas, and Nicholas says, I asked this polling question on the Trilogy Facebook, on the Trilogy fans Facebook page. Which mold from the Trilogy lineup do you carry the most copies of in your bag? I was surprised by the results. Well, Eric and I aren't surprised.
Not at all.
Because it was the Truth.
Yes.
The Truth was winning with nearly twice as many votes as its second place competitor, the Giant. Then came the Escape, Judge, and Saint. My question is, does this reflect Trilogy sales? My guess is that the Judge is the best-selling disc from the Trilogy of 2013, but that's from my American point of view. What are Trilogy's best-selling discs of 2013?
Wow, that would be probably a Clay Hauser.
Yeah, I mean we wouldn't know. We wouldn't be able to tell you exact numbers, but I would tell you that for people to say that the Truth is one of their favorite discs is definitely reflected in what we see
sales.
Move out.
Yeah, I would definitely say the Truth. The Judge is a very popular one, and the Diamond, from what I'm understanding, is one of the most popular discs that the Trilogy offers, and I think that comes from very beginner friendly, and there's a lot of new players, and women can throw it very easily, like beginning women, children can throw it very well. So I think the Diamond is another really popular one, and of course the Giant is a very popular disc from the West Side line, just for the fact that it's a high-speed, overstable driver.
And actually, at the Monkey Island Open, I saw a lot of people throwing World.
Yeah. Yes.
I think a lot of people are liking those.
I think
that's
it's
from West Side.
The newest high-speed disc out there, and a lot of people are giving that a try. I wouldn't say it's probably one of the biggest sellers just yet.
Yeah. Right.
But it's well on its way.
Yeah. All right, the next one is from Tokyo.
Ooh,
Tokyo is
Japan?
his name. I don't know, but he is Tokyo for life.
All right.
So it says, what are some of the issues or complaints with tournaments on how they are ran or presented? What is the most common issue you run into you would like changed or addressed with tournament directors or club events?
You know, that's a really good question that I don't think anybody's ever asked.
Yeah.
I would say definitely one of the biggest complaints is the basket.
Yeah.
Older baskets.
Yeah.
Old, like Mach 3s, or, I don't want to call out name of baskets, I guess, but I just
As you
did. But no, DGA has great baskets. The Mach 5 is a wonderful basket. The Mach 10 is a even better basket. So the Mach 3 is just an older basket, like early 90s, late 90s. It was used a lot. And we even have a course here in Emporia with Mach 3s on it. So not to say it's a horrible basket, but for larger events at least, I know when I go there, I really don't I don't care to play on older baskets just for the fact of, they don't catch as well, and if it's windy. So that's one complaint I know of at a lot of bigger events. I can't, that there's honestly, it's too bad. But there's a lot of complaints that go on at events anymore. From my standpoint, you don't hear a lot of the positive. You hear a lot of the negative that goes on, which is really too bad, because it just kind of turns people off.
For me, the biggest thing because when I observe from my vantage point, in other words, I'm not playing in the tournament, I'm just kind of listening to what people say, is, I remember when I first started playing and I played a dynamic disc event, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. And then I went to another event from another disc golf retailer, and I thought, wow, this is it. There was no music playing like at the dynamic disc event. They didn't make a big deal about giving out trophies at the end. They didn't have a PA system to talk, to talk to people and stuff like that.
Just kind of seemed a little bit more unorganized.
Yeah, unorganized and stuff like that. And so I know that that's kind of an issue or complaint that happens in the background, is people feel it's unorganized. But I know that it's almost like no matter how much you do, someone's always going to not know something or not know where to look or not realize or not have paid attention. So you almost have to take some of these complaints with a grain of salt, because they'll come up and say, well, I didn't know that round two's tee time was 2:30, and I'm thinking, we told 50 million people, we posted it on Facebook, we went here. It's like, what else could we have done other than personally walk up to you and tell you what time round two was? So you're always going to hear complaints and issues.
Always going to hear the negative.
Yeah, but just concentrate on the fun time that you had.
Yep.
Unless you're losing. It's not that fun when you're losing. Anyway, all right, the next one was from Matthias. I hope I said that right, Matthias. He says, hey, all, I played disc golf since April last year, and I'm really enjoying it. Awesome. Thank you all for putting up this broadcast. It's my favorite broadcast. Awesome. Well, thanks. I played last year in a DD 2-disc challenge in Iowa Park, Texas, and I fell in love with the DD discs. My 3 favorite discs are Trespass, Truth. Thanks, EMAC, for this disc, he says.
Nice.
And the Suspect. Now to my question. How do I S-turn my disc around obstacles? Do you have any suggestions how to make this a bit easier to accomplish? Would you use a straight flying disc or a slightly overstable disc? Thanks for your help. Sincerely, Matthias.
Nice. Well, what I would definitely suggest is, if you're trying to get an S shot, usually what you're going to want to do is use a slightly more overstable disc and throw it on more of an Anheuser line.
Like an Anheuser, like
the other way. Anheuser line, like that. So if it's more stable, you put it on that Anheuser line, it's going to flip and ride and then come back. Yes. And that's going to get you your S shot until you get a little bit more experienced, and you can do it with a less stable disc, and you can hyzer flip it to get it to ride and then come back. But at first, I would definitely recommend, trying it with your Trespass, or if you have something maybe a little bit more overstable, trying it with that disc for your S shot.
And when you say, maybe I'm not understanding this right, but let me make sure so other people understand. When you say when you get more experience, what you're really saying is that when you get to where you can make this disc spin faster, right?
Spin faster, and you're hitting your lines a little bit more, and you're getting more consistent releases. Right. Is basically what I'm saying.
Because a big important part of getting distance and making the disc do what it's supposed to do is getting that disc to spin, right? Because you want it to affect the air the way it's molded and everything. It's to have it to do what it's supposed to do in the air.
It's all about speed and spin.
Spin and speed and spin. Kind of like washing your clothes, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's go on to Radlin. Whew, we got a lot of questions.
Yes.
All right, Radlin. He says, hi, Eric and Bobby. I'm trying this season to transition to an all-trilogy lineup, but can really find a placement for the Discraft Zone. For an air shot, it can be replaced quite easily by either the Cenis or the Pain, perhaps even the Harp, but I haven't had a chance to throw one yet. But as a short-range flick roller, it is pretty darn irreplaceable. Nothing from the trilogy seems to be slow and overstable enough. What would you suggest to try out? So he wants to find something that's similar to his Zone.
The Zone is a great Discraft disc. If you're looking for something in the trilogy lineup, what I would suggest is definitely the Harp. I know Miles Seaborn, who finished 5th this weekend.
Yes, good job, Miles.
Yeah, great shooting. He putted with the Harp when it was really windy, and it was very overstable. and he threw the harp a lot on his approach shots. And he said, and he used to be a zone thrower, zone and drone, and I would definitely recommend picking up the harp. I know right now it's only available in TP Soft, and I know a lot of people don't really necessarily have preference for that, but coming soon. I know. I think Searle was telling me that the 1st of April they're going to be making them in TP and VIP.
Oh, nice.
So that disc is going to be amazing, especially for a weekend like we just had.
Nice.
So I would pick up the harp.
All right, the next one is from our boy Anthony. Anthony says, does DD have plans to make a more overstable putter than the Judge? Right now, the only putter in my bag is the Judge because of how straight they fly. The Judge holds a really nice hyzer line, but doesn't quite hold up to headwinds like I'd like it to. I have 3 suspects in the bag, and I use those a lot, but they're a little long for what I'm looking for. Any plans for something like a Pig or a Rhino?
I would say grab a Cenis.
Oh.
Because that thing, that's what I was throwing for my shots this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like we just said, the harp.
The harp.
Both of those are very overstable putters. As far as DD's releasing, not this year that I know of, but I know what we just talked about, the Lucid Judge is definitely more stable version. So if you're looking for a thrower and you want it to be a little more overstable, try the Lucid Judge out. But this year DD has kind of been tagged Year of the Driver. So.
All right. The next one is from Matt, and Matt says, after a drive and or upshot, I've seen some people walk up to their disc and flip it forward onto the top of the disc. What does that mean? Also, in tournaments, is it required that you have a mini to mark your spot before putting?
Oh, wait, what was the first part?
When people walk up, what they do is and I do it sometimes, is that they flip the disc.
Flip it.
Yeah.
You can do that in casual rounds. It's fine. I mean, if I'm playing just a casual, fun round with my friends, I'll walk up and just kick the disc. Sometimes just kind of kick it out of the way. All right, here you go. But no, if you're playing a tournament or something with rules, PDGA rules, no, you cannot flip the disc. But yes, you can stand for it. You could just walk up and putt from where it lies, unless you were OB.
Oh.
If you were OB, or if your disc is suspended in the air somehow, like in a tree or a bush, then you have to mark it.
Right.
That's when you have to have a mini. But that's the only case. If you're putting, you don't necessarily need one. You could just putt from the disc. And for me, the only time I use a mini is when I'm putting.
Mm.
And I think it's easier if you're in the middle of a fairway, unless I'm throwing the same disc. It's easier to throw from a disc. It just mentally, it's a bigger target. You can see it. It's easier to hit than trying to throw from a mini.
Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't really mean anything to flip the disc. It's just someone flipping it around so they can put their foot and place their foot. So
it's kind of like they're using their disc as a mini.
Yeah. So
they're just flipping it.
So
over.
If the basket's over here and your disc is here, you're kind of giving yourself get yourself closer to the disc, because when you flip it, then you can put your foot here.
Yeah, it gives you a disc length.
Yeah, so you use that. But one thing to remember, you were talking about marking when you're OB, and it was something that I noticed at the Memorial. I'm not going to call anybody out, but their disc went OB, and they had discussed where it went out of bounds, and they discussed it, but they went and picked up their disc from the OB, and then they marked it.
Yep.
But rules say that you have to mark it.
You're supposed to mark it before you pick it up.
Before you pick up your disc. So remember that if you're in a tournament, mark it and then pick up your OB disc.
Yes.
So anyway, the next question is from this one's from Gonzo, and Gonzo says, "Dear Answer Man, I'm an avid listener to the show, and then you and thank all you." Well, okay. Sorry, guys. Sometimes when people type, they don't get everything typed out like they thought they did. I'm an avid listener to the show, and thank you and all your guests for the time and hard work you put into the show. I'm a right-hand backhand player that has been playing for almost a decade. I lost all my vision in my right eye this past year due to a freak Nerf accident. I'm serious, he says, and can no longer really look at the basket on my drives or any step-up approach. Wow. How necessary and important is it to see the basket upon release rather than know where the basket is? Once I line up my right shoulder with the basket beginning my throw, I lose all sight downrange.
Huh. Interesting. Well, Gonzo, I would say it's honestly not that important. You know, as long as you know where the basket is and the line you're trying to hit, having your shoulders lined up is definitely key. It's kind of funny because I was just looking at some pictures from the weekend that our friend took down there. Anyway, it was a picture of Yeti.
Are you talking about Seth?
Yeah, Seth.
Seth,
Yeah,
Harwood,
of course,
okay.
Seth. And it was a picture of Yeti,
Mhm.
and he was teeing off, and the disc was out of his hand, and he was still looking backwards.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's how he throws. So, of course, he's not looking at the basket when he's throwing. So, and Yeti's pretty successful disc golfer.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to go ahead and say that, yeah, as long as you know where you're throwing, the lineup, it's really not important to actually be able to see it.
Oh, yeah. So now, if that's the way you did it before your freak accident, then you'll have to kind of compensate. But yeah, like Eric said, it's not a necessary thing to have happen. And I lost my place. All right, the next question is from his first name. He puts Pack from Dallas.
Nice.
After the Texas State Championships, Paul. This is a loaded question.
Oh,
Oh no. After the Texas State Championships, Paul McBeth posted a comment basically calling out Wysocki, a Prodigy player, for using an Innova disc to putt with. I know you saw, but I was considering a couple things. Firstly, is there any sincere beef between players over sponsorship loyalties? And secondly, what are your thoughts over the comments and sponsored players using a competing company's disc? First of all, a disclaimer. The thoughts and opinions of Bobby and Eric are not necessarily those of Dynamic Discs
Or Latitude 64.
or Latitude 64. Anyway, so.
Now that that's gone, No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, let's let it rip now.
No.
So what are your thoughts on that, Eric?
Well, you know, I am a fan of loyalty, and I am loyal to my company, and it's been a struggle for the first part of the year last year for me. I came out and actually didn't even cash at my first event because I had been throwing Discraft for 10 plus years, and then boom, to switch it right over. So absolutely, I know exactly what Ricky's going through, and I know. And first off, I did read it, and I did read probably 400 of the 450
I can only
comments.
imagine what it is today.
And I'm very proud of Ricky for not getting on there and being kind of not necessarily the bigger man, but you know. And who's to say that Paul's calling him out straight up? You know, it's just kind of hearsay on that. And yes, I am a fan of people being loyal to their company. And you know, like I said, I know how Ricky feels about not being able to use a certain disc because Prodigy doesn't offer a big bead putter right now, and I know if they did, he'd probably be putting with it. And the only thing I have issues with, and this is strictly just me, is when they either lie about it or they're fake about it.
Right.
Where they say, you know, I'm throwing all this, and then if you see in their bag that they have a certain disc with a competitor's stamp on it, or their stamp on a competitor's disc, to me that's a little shady. And I completely disagree with that. But, you know, it's good. It's honestly good because it's getting people talking.
Right.
It's getting people talking about it, and that's awesome. But I also feel we could come together to grow the sport a little bit quicker and faster if we could all just get along.
Can we all just get along?
But
yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I obviously am not a pro player or anything like that, but when I read things like that and I do have to thank and admire you and the Dynamic Disc team because they throw dynamic discs.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of the players have struggled, including yourself, in a sense, struggled in finding the right disc. And I know there's still some spots I think you're looking for to fill from throwing Discraft a lot. And I know some of the other players are. But you know what? They're taking the time to learn it. Even in the big tournaments, they're throwing the discs that they say they throw.
Yeah.
So.
And it is what it is, you know. And those guys, you know, like you said, I admire Ricky for not getting on there and causing more drama than needed to be, and congratulations to Ricky, by the way,
he smashed it
for playing. I don't care what he was throwing, he was still throwing
still doing. I mean,
so
amazing.
I don't want to take anything away from Ricky.
All right, the next question is from Lunchbox, and Lunchbox says, Bobby and Eric, I was watching footage of the Texas State Championships from this past weekend, and it looked incredibly windy out there.
Yes.
And I think you have a little thing for it.
Yeah.
I haven't been playing for very long and mostly throw understable disc. What discs would you recommend for a beginner like me to have in my bag in case I ever have to play in very windy conditions? You guys rock. Real quick before he answers the question, Eric actually recorded the flags, and you can actually hear the wind.
On hole 1, here it is. Little breezy.
Where's Toto?
So yeah, that's just a little bit of it. That's how windy it actually was out there, and it was ripping. My goodness. For me, what I did is I usually carry one stiletto in my bag, and for me it's more of a trick shot disc or a situational disc, and I threw 2 of them in there for that day just in case.
Wow.
It really depends on what you throw now for your overstable discs. If a trespass is overstable for you, I'd recommend grabbing a giant and putting it in the bag. Anything really overstable like the Trident is something I was throwing. The Triple X is another good one. Stilettos, always a good one. As far as putters and upshot discs, approach discs, I would try. The Verdict's a good one, but the Sinus, however you want to say it.
Sonus.
The Sinus. The Sinus is great. That's what I was throwing on all of my upshots. If you saw in the videos, the purple disc that I was throwing, and that thing, if you watch on some of the holes, everybody else on my card was throwing drivers, and I was throwing that putter, and that tells you how overstable of a disc and how much I could actually trust it.
Yeah.
So, great disc.
I know that I have to look back. I can't remember what episode, but Ron Converse has like a pretty extensive article on throwing in the wind.
Yeah.
And
he also has the Dymax disc you can get.
Yeah, the Dymax. It has there's a picture of him and then
like
him.
A compass.
Yeah, and a compass, and it kind of explains different ways of throwing in different direction of the wind. So
it's really good.
Yeah, so definitely. I'll see if I can find that link again. If not, maybe you can just kind of Google Ron Converse wind article. All right, the next one is from Joel, and Joel says, lately I've been working on my putting a lot more, and I've finally gotten somewhat consistent. I use a hybrid style of putting, somewhere between pushing and spinning. So he's pushing. Spushing. Okay, I'm getting tired. We have a lot of questions. Okay, so no, thanks guys for sending the questions. I'm just kidding here. I use a push putting stance and motion, but tend to use a lot of wrist snap for spin. My question is this. I've noticed that because of the way I putt, I'm most comfortable putting with the nose of the disc down. Is there anything wrong with this? Is there anything I should be careful of?
No, actually, the nose down, the only thing you got to worry about is the disc slamming down a little bit more. Or in a huge tailwind, maybe doing the opposite and lifting up if the wind gets underneath it. But there's nothing wrong at all with putting nose down. It'll kind of dive into the basket a little easier. Sounds like. So it sounds like if you are putting nose down, you are definitely more of a push than a spin, because it's very hard to spin nose down. It's almost impossible. I putt nose up for the fact of spinning. It's a lot easier just to put the nose up, and it carries into a headwind a lot easier. But no, there's absolutely nothing wrong. It's to each his own.
To each his own. All right, the next one is from Tom, and Tom says, hey guys, awesome podcast. I recently got hired to work at a Boy Scout camp all summer. I can't leave camp very often, but they do have a course at the camp.
Nice.
It's only 9 holes, but I was wondering the advantages and disadvantages of playing one course for a long period of time. Thanks. Keep it in the fairway.
Oh, well, it depends on the kind of course you're playing, I guess. I know a lot of people that will go out and only play their local course, and then if a tournament comes to their town, they do pretty good there because they know that course. The struggles of it is, unless it's a course that'll test your every shot, meaning if it's a big hyzer hole, and then the next hole is a huge anhyzer hole, and then the next hole is a huge roller hole, and then so if it tests all your shots, then you'll be just fine practicing that course all the time. Something I'd recommend if it's not is to go out there and do other lines. So say if it's a hyzer, go out there and throw an anhyzer at it. If the hyzer's the easiest shot to get there, and you've already mastered that hole with that, work on the other way to get there. Throw anhyzers, throw sidearms if you have to. So and then make up your own course on the course. Just have fun. It sounds like if it's at a Boy Scout camp, then there's probably not a whole lot of people playing it. But even if it's your local course, just go out and play Safari sometimes. That's a great way to practice.
Like instead of throwing from T-pad 1 to basket 1, throw from T-pad 1 to basket 3.
Yeah.
Maybe because it looks like an interesting hole.
Mm-hmm. Make up your own course on the course.
On the course.
As long as there's, keep it nice to where if it is a populated course, you don't want to be yelling for and playing through people or playing backwards or anything like that. But
or maybe even like we've talked about before, practicing, throw the course backwards.
Yes.
Obviously, you can't make a basket on no T-pad, but you can aim for the T-pad.
Usually, when we play courses backwards, how we do it is from the previous basket to the previous basket. So,
all right, the next one is from Brandon, and Brandon says, "I'm from Stillwater, Oklahoma. I know that isn't too far from Emporia. Last year, 2013, we saw 2 new courses get put in here in Stillwater at Lake McMurdy. Lake McMurdy. I was wondering if you're traveling, you've had the chance to play these 2 courses and what you thought of them if you had visited. If you haven't been, you should come try them out."
Nice. I'd love to. I unfortunately haven't. Stillwater is, I believe, southwest of Tulsa? Is that right?
I have no idea.
Oh, you live close to it.
I don't live in Stillwater.
You used to live close to it.
I know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in the northeast part of Oklahoma. I know, somewhere up in there. And I have played a course in Stillwater. It's been a while, but I haven't. Unfortunately, it's not.
It's not like on your path
on an interstate that I usually drive through, going here and there. But I would love to make it down and play the course sometime.
Yeah. All right, the next one is from Seth. Seth is
our boy Seth.
He's from Nice Shot Productions. He does some video and photo stuff out in Texas, and he's helped me a lot. He says, "Bobby, great photos from the Monkey Island Open." Well, thank you, Seth. I appreciate that. He says, "Eric, when dealing with high winds like those at Texas State, what do you think is the most important thing to focus on in order to get the most distance possible? I know that it was frustrating in those kind of conditions, but as an amateur, it was kind of nice to see the big bad pros only getting out to 300 feet on some of their drives. I know a lot of players were using very overstable drivers, but it seemed like even those weren't enough, and any mistake they made was magnified. Yes. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys at Cedar Hill." Sweet. Nice. We'll see you guys.
Well, a course like Old Settlers, like we play, there's a lot of OB out there, and it was a lot of wind. So something I'd recommend out there is not attacking the holes, not trying to get more distance, but laying it up close, shorter, which is what I was doing a lot of, just playing very, very conservative in the wind. If you have a 50-foot putt that normally you would give a little bit of a run to, no point. Throw it up under the bucket, because, how many times have you just been out on a windy day practicing or having fun and ramped off the basket and rolled 40, 50 feet, because the wind just holds it up. So it's in the wind, it's all about just being conservative and throwing overstable discs. And if it's a disc that you normally throw into the headwind, but it's a lot more, either disc up or don't put as much on it. Because I know when you put 100% into a headwind drive, that's kind of mentally what you want to do, it's just going to flip it over even more. So don't put as much on it. Tone it back a little bit and let the wind hold the disc as opposed to trying to throw into the wind.
Nice. All right, the next one is from Brian, and Brian says, "Hi, Bobby and EMAC. Still dealing with frigid temps and wet conditions here in the north. It has left our ground and disc pretty muddy. I think this winter has been
brutal.
More like wow. I don't even know how to describe it." Anyway, he goes on to say, "I was wondering what you use to clean your discs after they get dirty. P.S. Since the witness came out, I broke my personal distance record."
Nice.
That is one awesome disc. Yes,
Very
it is.
Cool.
I went and played with a friend of mine, Jeremy Taylor. He came up from Owasso, Oklahoma, and I threw some witness at Peter Pan, and man,
it's good stuff.
I
good
love that
stuff.
disc.
Awesome.
So what do you do to clean your discs?
Leave them dirty. It adds character. No, a lot of times I will unfortunately do that, and then occasionally when I see that they're all pretty dirty, is bring them in and put them in the sink and just kind of wash them down. That
Now,
way.
you don't use soap or just
No,
water?
just warm water on them.
Yeah.
I don't usually recommend doing so. I mean, you can use soap, but I don't like to put anything else on the disc for the thought of it being
Like eat away at it or
slick,
something? Oh, slick,
hard
yeah.
to hold, and do not put them in a dishwasher. I
So
know Felberg did that one time, and
Oh.
it just ruined his discs, and I could only laugh at him.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. All right,
I don't
so-
recommend putting your discs in a dishwasher.
All right.
No.
All right, the next one is from Michael. Michael says, "First off, it was great meeting you at the Monkey Island Open, Bobby. It was good meeting you too, Michael. The pics you took turned out great. Oh, thanks. My question is for the 2010 World Champ. I'm gonna
That's me.
stop. Hold on. Okay.
Deep breath.
My question is for the 2010 World Champ. During the reach back, is there a certain point you reach back to? And where are you in your X step when you reach back? Also, I wanted to stress how important short memory is during a round. I was sitting in the second card Sunday and told myself just to shoot better the second round, and that led to my first PDGA win.
Nice,
Awesome.
nice,
Good
nice.
job, Michael. He said, thanks again and keep up the good work.
Way to go. That's what it's all about, a short
Yeah.
memory and going out and having fun. Well, as far as the reach back goes, it kind of depends on the shot you're throwing. If it's maximum distance, then I'm really trying to reach back as far as possible, almost with your back to the hole, what you're throwing. And as far as where it is in my X step, it's right about mid X. Does that make sense? Right about when your
Okay.
feet are crossed.
Yeah.
As soon as if you're a right-handed player, as soon as your right foot is behind is when I'm really torqued back, reaching as far back as possible. To create when my right foot comes across to plant, the whole body comes with it for one solid, smooth motion.
Nice. All right.
Congratulations on your first PDGA
Yeah,
win.
That's got to be an awesome feeling. All right, the next one is from Jason. And Jason says, Eric, what disc did you use on hole 17 at Texas State? I played the AM weekend at my World with my driver of choice on all of the long holes.
Cool. 17 is a 1,000-foot hole.
Woo!
Huge, long hole. It depends on which round you're talking, Jason. The first two rounds we had a good tailwind, so I threw my Opto Havoc, which just bombs.
Mhm.
Boom. And then the final round we, of course, wind switched, had a headwind, and I threw giant.
Giant. Now, tell people why you made the switch on the wind.
The reason, if I would have thrown my less stable distance driver into the headwind, it would have just turned right over into the ground and probably turned into a roller and potentially came back to me. As where a giant, something a little bit more overstable, will hold up in the wind and get a little bit more distance.
Okay.
Because the wind was ridiculous. I mean, you want me to play the app again?
No.
Okay. It was that bad.
It was bad. So, all right, the last question is from Dr. Blam, and he says, guys, what's the main difference between classic and blend plastic for the Judge putters? Is there still decent grip on the classic plastic?
Absolutely. Well, there's three different plastics. There's the classic blend, and the classic soft. The classic soft is just soft plastic, super soft. Makes, it's pretty much. And then the classic is more of a harder. It's not like rock hard where you can't bend it or there's no feel to it, but it's definitely a little bit stiffer. And then the blend is a happy medium, like right in between. And I recommend, if you don't like your plastic to be super hard, the blend is where it's at. I mean, it can grab chains really nice, and that's basically all it is feel. You can kind of feel the blend plastic. You can kind of has really good grip to it. So it's really a personal preference. They all fly pretty much the same.
Cool. All right, well, that's it for the questions on the website. If you sent some questions in while we're broadcasting, we will get to them next week. But with 30 questions on here, I think we're going to move on to the questions from the YouTube broadcast. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Oh, someone said fancy backdrop. Well, thank you very much. It is very fancy.
Yeah. Grow
We
the
like
sport.
it. Grow the
Hashtag
sport.
grow the sport.
Go sport. Move out of the way. All right, cool. All right, so pumped I watched the live one. Well, we're so pumped that you watched it.
Yeah.
We're pumped that we're doing it.
Yes.
I knew I forgot something, meant to grab coffee. Well, good, Jack. Glad you got your coffee. All right, here's a question from Marco. Marco says, Eric, who do you think are the best putters on tour? I'm looking to work on my putting, but keep going back and forth between pitch and spin putt. Why do you spin putt?
I personally spin putt because of where I learned how to play, which is right here in Kansas, where it is windy. And I've never felt comfortable with a push putt popping a disc up in the air, up into the wind. So I've just always been a spin putter. Now, as far as some of the best putters on tour, of course, Ricky Wysocki. But I'm going to say Paul McBeth this weekend, rather. I remember watching him, and there was a few times he was like 50, 60 out, and I'm thinking, all right, we can get a stroke on him here. Nope, not so much. Bam, jam session. So Paul McBeth, Ricky Wysocki, both of those guys are two of the best putters. And Simon is a very, very good wind putter.
Really?
He's a spin putter as well, and he's very, very talented. A lot of it comes from being young and fearless. So
nice. All right. Well, it looks like that's really all the questions we have on the live broadcast. So thanks, guys, thanks, Marco, for that question.
yeah,
But it looks like we had about 34, 35 people watching, so we want to appreciate that. And
thank
I know
you guys
that
and gals.
people will watch later on, so we thank you very much. So I guess that's pretty much all the show we got for this episode.
Awesome.
I'm going to be, as soon as I'm done with this broadcast, I'm packing my gear up, and I'm going to go pick up my wife, and we were driving all the way to Houston, Texas.
Houston, H-Town.
H-Town. We're going to do some RV shopping.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Or house shopping.
Well, home on wheels shopping, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
But just in case you don't know, I am getting an RV for my house so that I can travel and be at the tournament, and my wife can be with me, and I can be more effective while I'm there working and stuff like that. So,
Yes.
and then I'm going to meet everybody down at for the amateur championship. So again, if you haven't signed up for that, go to dynamicdisc.com, go to the tournaments page, and sign up. For the amateur championship. It's going to be a fun time. Eric's going to be there, and he's going to do what? He's going to be.
I'm going to do some filming.
He's
and
going to
some
be
pictures and good
EMAC.
stuff.
It'll be EMAC associate producer.
Yeah, I like it.
So, no, he's
I
going to
like
help
it.
me out with some of the filming, and then of course he'll be there to sign discs and
Yeah.
talk to people and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But other than that, what else you got going on?
Well, that's just about it.
That's about it.
I know Rusco and I meet tomorrow morning with the city, and we're talking about some course changes
Oh, nice.
that we want to put in. Not going to tell too much, but some very cool things in the works. I'm really looking forward to these changes that we're going to potentially have, and making our courses that much better for Glassbone Open.
So like permanent changes
Yes,
type things? Cool.
yeah, permanent
Nice.
changes, maybe a couple gold tee pads to put in.
Nice.
I'm very excited and hope it all goes through.
Cool. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. Again, make sure you go to discgolfanswerman.com, select the submit your disc golf question, and get those questions in. Follow Dynamic Disc on our Facebook fan page, on Twitter, on Instagram, Snapchat, and Vine.
Snapchat.
I think we'll probably do a lot of Vines and Snapchats in Texas.
Yeah, we'll
I'm
do
sure.
a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. And then, of course, Eric has all his stuff he likes to do. Tell him how you follow you.
You can follow me on Twitter at Eric McCabe 11674, Instagram Eric_McCabe, and of course my Facebook fan page Eric McCabe 2010 PDGA World Champion.
Hey, whatever happened to the photo, the fire photo thing?
Oh, the explosion!
Yes, Marble Jones had taken a really cool picture of Eric, Denise, and Ralph.
And Ralph walking at the memorial,
Uh-huh.
and I ran a contest, and I just wanted, it was actually one of Denise's friends that originally posted on the original picture and said somebody needs to put an explosion in the background.
Mhm.
And me being Photoshop dumb, I put a contest out there, and I got 40 submissions to it.
Nice.
Amazing. So, and I put them out on an album on my Facebook, and had people like them, and picked the two top winners, the two top likes, and then the one I liked. And so we had 3 winners, and I've posted those up on my page, and actually we're doing Dymax discs for those 3 people
Nice.
with the explosion disc on there.
Oh, nice. That's
So I'll
cool.
be posting those up on my Facebook later, and you can check those out.
Nice. And speaking of photo contests, we're going to revamp and refresh the photo contest that we do for Dynamic Discs. So be looking for information on that.
One more thing.
One more thing.
GVO giveaway.
Didn't we talk about that?
No.
We didn't talk about the Bring Your Friend?
Did we?
I thought we did.
We might. No, I
We'll
don't
talk
think
about
we
it
did.
again. Okay.
Let's do it again, just
Okay,
in case.
we'll pretend like we didn't, because I thought we did.
I don't know.
Anyway, okay, so we're doing a giveaway, a Bring Your Friend to GBO giveaway, and I apologize if we've already talked about it, and I apologize
if we haven't.
So how it works is go to discgolfanswerman.com, and you'll see a link in the navigation bar that says Bring a Friend to GBO. Click on that. All you got to do is put your information in, your name, and then like what division you're playing, where you're from, so we have all the information. And then next week, me and Eric will randomly pick 3 winners. Tres winners to come to the Glassbone Open. Now, each of those people get to pick a friend to bring.
Yes.
So you're going to bring a buddy to the Glassbone Open, so you guys can come on out here and play, and you can have friends to play with. So go out there. It's only a week long because we're getting close to the class.
Very close.
Yeah, and so we want to make sure
insane.
people have time to plan it out and stuff like that. But make sure if you enter that you are able to go.
Yes.
I'm not picking on anybody, but the Instagram people, some of the people weren't able to come for various reasons, and I completely understand that. But my thinking is, don't enter the contest if you don't think you can come.
Yes,
but
because I could give away a spot to somebody who can come.
Right. So if you can come, and this is only for people that have not signed up yet. Sorry, guys, we've already tried that with the other contest, but this one is strictly for people that have not signed up yet. So again, discgolfanswerman.com. Click the Bring a Friend to GBO link at the top, and then enter, and then we will randomly select winners, and we will announce those on next week's show.
Next week's episode.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, that's all we have for you. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you. I don't know when we'll see you, but
in a week.
So
see you in Texas.
Take care, guys.
Get signed up.